All right, so I've been thinking about this video for a little bit more than a week. I want to talk about independence, and I want to talk a little bit about hyper independence, because I recognize that as a woman, as a Black woman, as someone who has struggled with this need to feel endlessly strong, that my hyper independence is probably keeping me from some of the things that I actually really want. And I've been working on changing that. I've been working on healing that. So when I say it's keeping me from some of the things that I actually really want, I think that for sure in my relationships, there are times when I should have asked for help. There are times when I should have allowed other people, friends, to show up for me, let alone partners to show up for me. So in a recent relationship, even little things like just being able to say, hey, could you take me somewhere? Before, I would have just gotten an Uber, but he's actually very happy when I ask him to do, when I allow him to do those things for me. But I realized that in the past, I would fall back into this place where I could do it on my own. So why would I even ask? Like, it doesn't seem logical enough. Like, it doesn't make sense. But people ask me to do stuff that don't make sense all the time, and I still say yes. So, taking off this need for myself to feel hyper independent, and I don't even know that I meant that it was supposed to be a need, but I have felt like it's been an expectation to be independent for so long that I really had to take a step back and realize just how negatively it was affecting us, affecting me. And I think that we have been, it's been positively reinforced in us for so long to be super independent, to take care of ourselves, to I got my own, to moving out at 18, to I don't need anybody. And I didn't have a father around. My father wasn't around when I was growing up. And so I didn't have somebody to remind me to be like, hey, like, actually let me help you. Like, I want to be there for you. I want to be that protector, provider, and that emotional support for you. So I really just didn't have good habits, good practices of doing it. And it's come up recently, like I said, in this relationship. So another way that it's come up, I had to stop and recognize my mom, when my mom had me, she was 39 years old. She was moving into perimenopause. Her partner had gone back to Nigeria and got stuck there and couldn't get back to the States. My mom was alone at 39 with a brand new baby that she didn't really plan. And she was bitter and she was depressed and she had a lot going on. And I think in her need to survive for herself, and my mom has always been a very hyper independent person as well, but she very much taught me to be that same way. And so I remember even at 4 years old, I was learning how to read. I was learning how to iron for myself. I remember taking the bus across town by myself at 6 years old. I remember learning how to cook, like frying stuff at 8 and 9 years old. Like, I was the only one that can cook at 8 and 9 years old. I have been, babysitting or taking care of somebody else's kids since I was 12. I had to raise my brother and sister's kids because they were off doing their own thing and the kids got ditched on me. And, it was just this cycle of independence, and not just independence, but over responsibility that had just happened over and over and over and over again. And I'm trying to remember what made me realize that I needed to find another way. I want to say, so I had joined this church in Atlanta, Georgia. And honestly, God did some amazing, amazing things in my life through that church. And one of the sermons I remember that sermon for a long time. I can't think of it right. It was like, I can't remember the name of it right now, but the whole context of that sermon was that here's what God actually intended family to look like. And I remember as I listened to that sermon, I had to mourn. I cried for days because I recognized I never had that healthy father relationship, and I never had a healthy mother relationship either, even though she was around. So it didn't matter whether my parents were in my life or out of my life. I didn't have that grounded relationship. And so I learned to support myself, to take care of myself from the beginning. But I also learned as I got older, as I started building like real good friendships, I could show up for them. But if I wanted to feel love, that means that I needed to give them space to show up for me. And let me tell you, once I really became an entrepreneur, I didn't have a choice. Like, if it hadn't been for and a missionary, if it hadn't been for my friends and family really showing up, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be able to do the things that I do. I would have had to go back to work. There's no way. Like, I would not have been able to do it without their support. And it really came to a head for me. I was in this leadership academy in Spain, and we were talking about, oh goodness, not sins. Crap, I can't think of the word right now, but hopefully it comes to mind. Iniquities, that's what it was. We weren't talking about sins, we were talking about iniquities. And iniquities are these fine line where it's like, it's not a sin, but it is this thing where we really need to let Jesus in, but we tend to default to doing it the wrong way. And he's like, but if you gave this to me, I would actually be able to show you just how magical I am. Like, you would be able to receive my love in such a deeper way. And I recognize that my iniquity is independence, that I had to show up for everybody else, and that I had to be like the strong one. Like, it was this thing, and it wasn't even like it was a badge of honor. It just felt like that was what was expected of me, and that there was no other option to live any other way. Like, there was absolutely no other option. But as I start having these conversations with him, he's like, but that's keeping you from everything that you want. That's keeping you from a deeper relationship with your friends, a deeper relationship with your family, the kind of marriage that you want to have, the dating experience that you want to have, platonic friends with kids, like relationships with kids. Like, allow these people to show up for you. And wait, he said it, he took it even a step further. Allow me to show up for you. And man, I had to like take a step back and really recognize part of the reason that I was feeling alone, part of the reason I was feeling burnt out, overwhelmed, like I could never stop, was because I wasn't allowing anybody to show up for me, but I was showing up for them. And I would be kind of bitter about it. Like, you know how we have this kind of paradox where we get upset that nobody's showing up for us, but also we don't make space for them to show up for us. When it's time for something to happen, we done already jumped in and did the thing before anybody else even had a chance to know that we needed the thing. And so little by little, I have been taking that off. It's one of those things where it's like an onion. It's not like you take it off one time and it's over with. I've had to see how I have let independence and hyper independence show up in my life in a lot of different ways, specifically around relationships. And as far as like trying to accomplish my dreams and things like that too, like all of those things are community sports. Relationships are community sports. Dream building is community sport. Like, all of those things are things that we need people for. And I had to like let myself, Jesus had to pluck me in the head for me to recognize, you got to let that go in order for you to get you to where you want to go. I needed to let go of hyper independence in order to get to the place where I could live some of the big dreams that I want, like traveling the world, like spending a year in Costa Rica. I didn't just go get an apartment in Costa Rica. I went and stayed with friends in Costa Rica, and it was amazing. It was so great to have community. And yet it wasn't I don't want to live there anymore, but it gave me such a bit of rest that I needed. Growing my business, the businesses that I'm working on now, I don't know if y'all know, I'm working on multiple. Those have all been because there's still a part of me that is independent, but what I'm learning is to lean into interdependence rather than independence. Interdependence is where two whole people, one whole person, two whole people, multiple whole people come together and be in a relationship together. Contrary to the other things that we don't hear people use that word very often. Instead, we usually hear the words codependence, where someone can't survive without the other, which is not good. And then independence, where we feel like we don't need anybody to survive. These are two extremes. There's actually a very beautiful in between of that, and that's called interdependence. And like I said, it's that two whole people coming together. So as I've been getting to know this guy that I've started dating, it's been really beautiful. I don't know what's going to happen with us. And yet I've been learning so much about myself and about how to let go of being a strong Black woman, even in the midst of this. And that has been super beautiful. I think let me try to think a couple different ways, because I want you to have something to take away from this, something to think about every time you find yourself doing more. I have been trying to look for little ways that I can let him in and let other people in, because it's not just him, it's friends, it's family as well. I would say it's mainly friends and him, because they're my biggest support system at this point, which is fine. So like with friends, especially because I'm helping my friends with their business. And it feels like a lot of times I have done so much more research, so I have the space to help them more with their business than they are able to help me. But I still have learned recently to share what my need is. And I have seen my friends show up and say, well, I don't know exactly how to do that, but I can help finance you getting help to do that. Or I don't know, you are trying to do XYZ. You don't have time to do ABC as well. Here, let me help you do ABC. And it's been really beautiful to see my friends show up that way. And even with my friend, he's like, hey, I want to take you across town and do something or another. And I recognize that as he said that, I was like giving him all of this logic about how that didn't make sense. And then I had to stop myself and be like, he knows it doesn't make sense to come from his side of town to my side of town to take me to down the street on my side of town. He knows that doesn't make sense, but he wants to do it because he's looking for an opportunity to spend time with me, especially since I'm super busy all the time. And he's just like, I just want a chance to spend time with you. So can you let me do that? And I had to stop myself and say, okay, yeah, I can let you do that. And let me tell y'all, it was hard. It was hard as hell. But it's a little step. It's a little step towards it. And so that was two things, like letting my friends help me, asking for help, and like saying what my need is. Not even so much asking for help, just saying, here's what I need to do right now. And them being like, oh, I can help you do that. Like there's a part of our friends and family want to help us, but if we don't even say what we need, or every time somebody asks us, how are you? And you say you're fine, how do they know how to actually show up and help you? Otherwise, they're showing up and trying to help you in ways that are not actually helping you. So I'm doing better at that, those two things. And then I think the third thing too is choosing to recognize when I'm pushing myself to be hyper independent or just independent in general, and choosing to move back into interdependence. And interdependence is like, if you think about that any of those exercises where you're back to back and together you're moving up the whatever you're trying to do, whether you're trying to stand up or if you're trying to crawl between two posts or whatever, you need the two backs together, because otherwise the space is too wide for you to be able to do it. And I'm recognizing that there are things that I want to do that the space is too wide if I try to do it by myself. I need friends. I need help. And no, not everybody in my circle is going to be able to help me. But if I don't even say what the need is, nobody can even step in and help me. And so instead of defaulting to this place where I'm choosing to try to rely on myself, I am opening myself up to say, allow myself to receive. And I think that's really huge for us as women, especially as Black women who have found themselves needing to be endlessly strong, who feel like they have to be on all the time, who feel like they have to work 10 times harder. Instead, I want to invite you to step back so that someone else could step in that space and actually be helpful to you. So I hope that's helpful. That's some revelation and thought that I've been thinking about today. If you are new here, hey there, I am Rashadat, your dream strategist, and I'm all about helping Black women. I'm all about helping us quit being a strong Black woman and step into our soft life. And that is a bit of a mindset change. It's a behavior change. It's a different way of looking at life because we've been bred to be this hyper independent woman our whole lives. But we deserve to be taken care of too. And in order for us to be taken care of like that, that means that we actually have to allow ourselves to receive it. And so, yeah, I hope this video is another video that helped you receive it. I also love to talk about travel, good food, all the things that come together as passions that we as Black women want to live. So again, take a second to subscribe, share this with another Black woman who is on the journey to quit being a strong Black woman as well. And if you are someone who is looking for help on this journey, I would love to do a coaching session with you. You could start by doing a free virtual coffee date where we kind of talk about what's going on and see if it's a good fit to work together. That's completely free. But if you're also like, girl, I'm ready. Like, I know I need help and I think you're the one, then go ahead and sign up for a 90-minute intensive and let's get into it. Because you deserve the help. And I completely understand this journey of what it is to step out of this. And I've learned a lot of good tricks of the trade to help you do that. And I want to share those with you so that you can get to it faster. So yeah, check out a 90-minute intensive. But yeah, have a great rest of your day.